city girl is happy with her friends and family life, appreciates a wine with him at night. She tries to find the sparkle, she searches, but it's gone. With lots of love, she hopes he'll be alright. Her man is gone, all quiet, he's not at ease. He doesn't feel at home, he's hard to please. He gets itchy feet, he's tired of noises in the street. He needs to walk for hours through the trees. No, a bushman can't survive on city lights, opera, rock and roll, and high heights. His moon shines on the silver brigalow, shimmers down the inland river flow, out there where the yellow belly bites.
Working with his hands today on a building site. He can smell the cypress on the floor. Takes him to a sandy ridge out amongst the pines. No shearing, no plowing anymore. His kelpie dog is tired and fast asleep, tired of searching gardens for the sheep. His master doesn't whistle tunes, he's not in the mood. His love for open spaces runs too deep. No bushman can't survive on city lights, opera, rock and roll, and height of heights. His moon shines on the silver brigalow, shimmers down the inland river flow, out there where the yellow belly bite.
He tries to please his woman, the lady of his life. He's standing at a party with a plate. She finds him on the balcony, staring at the moon. An old familiar face he can relate. No, a bushman can't survive on city lights, opera, rock and roll, and height of heights. His moon shines on the silver brigalow, shimmers down the inland river flow, out there where the yellow belly bites.
His moon shines on the silver brigalow,
shimmers down the inland river flow, out there where the yellow belly bites.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vanessa Rankin and I'm a celebrant, and it is my privilege to conduct this special service today to celebrate the life of George William Lockman. I would like to welcome you here today, especially as many of you have travelled great distances to be here. I believe some have come from as far as the Northern Territory, Western Australia, Queensland, and everywhere in between, and maybe even King Island. Do we have people from King Island here? That's amazing. So we have come to pay tribute to George and celebrate his long, happy and fulfilling life, and to share memories of him as you express your love and admiration for him. I would also like to welcome the family and friends joining us via live streaming, as I know they are here in spirit today. So we have come together because you care for George. He was a special and important part of your lives. We celebrate his life as he was loved and admired by all his friends and family. George had a deep love for his family and friends, and especially a great love for his dear wife Val. They've been married for 68 years. That's quite a remarkable accomplishment. We express our deepest sympathy to George's wife Val and his family. He was a loved father and father-in-law to Helen and Todd deceased, Beverly, Leslie and Megan, Catherine and James. George was also a beloved grandfather of Sharon, Yvonne, Samuel, Joseph, Camilla, Joshua, Natasha, Lee, Luke, Dylan, and a very treasured great-grandfather to Ricky, Kalani, Blake, Lee, Ty, Kyani, Isaiah, Harper, Braxton, Koa deceased, Miller, Max, Cyrus, Isabel and Shiloh and their partners, and a doting great-great-grandfather of Chelsea, and a special par to other family loved ones. So we are drawn here today by our respect, love and grief. And while today is certainly an occasion for sorrow, it is also an occasion for thanks and for celebration, because we are thankful for the gift of George's life. George was a big part of your lives, and the memory of his time with you will be treasured, and it's in those memories which will bring a smile among the tears, because the grief and the sadness is a very natural reaction of the human heart to losing someone who has meant so much to you. As I said, George had a deep love for his family and friends, and to be truly loved by someone is a rare thing. It is a love that can't be described. For the love that was in George's heart is now in your heart, and you can never forget that. I hope that you can derive some comfort from this as you remember him and the wonderful memories you have of George, some of which you hold in common, but others are very personal to each of you. George embraced life with enthusiasm. He was hardworking, caring and friendly, with a mischievous streak and a love for jovial banter with his mates. I'm sure the bowlers that are here will recall that very quickly to mind. He had a heart of gold. He was kind. He was generous and always willing to lend a hand. George was a true jack of all trades. There was no task he could not tackle. Throughout his life, George formed lifelong friendships, from his childhood in Daylesford to the 28 years he spent on King Island with Val and their family, and later in Cobram Barooga, where he enjoyed the later years of his life. Wherever George went, he left an impression, usually a good one, though his cheeky side meant you never quite knew what you were in for. His family fondly recall that when it came to discipline in the family, George wisely left that to Val. Is that right, Val? But as a father, he taught them skills for life. He was their mentor, a partner in crime. He taught them a few bad habits along the way, and he always had a prank up his sleeve. Whether it was coaching them new tricks or being a gunslinger, metaphorically speaking, I hope, or how to pull calves up in a fence, or ensuring every one of his children learned to drive. George played an unforgettable role in shaping their lives. George lived a full life, rich in love. Love for his family, love for his friends, and a love for his community. He approached every role with dedication, giving each its importance it deserved. His many talents and unwavering spirit continue to inspire and entertain us all. George had a zest for the adventures of life. For 68 years, George and Val walked through life side by side in a loving, happy marriage. Their devotion to each other never wavered, and they remained together until the very end. Their relationship was built on strength, love, and resilience. They were a team, valuing each other's contribution as they nurtured their growing family. Their mutual respect was not just a beautiful quality, but a lasting life lesson for all of us, a true testament to the deep bonds that they shared. George was one of a kind, and the world is just a little less fun without him in it. So I'd now like to call upon George's granddaughter, Ricky Barrett, to come forward and share a poem with us entitled Memories.
The love we have for Pa will never fade away. We'll think of him, our special mate, throughout each passing day. We'll walk into the shed and see his empty chair. Although we know he's resting, we'll feel his presence there. The memories of his mischief, his warm and cheeky smile, his eyes so full of happiness, his heart that of a child. Memories are forever, be they laughter or of tears. Memories we will treasure through all the coming years.
Thank you, Ricky. So I'd now like to call upon Sam Quigley, George's grandson, to come forward and deliver George's eulogy, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, we gather here today to honour and celebrate the life of George, a devoted husband, a loving father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and great-great-grandfather, a hard-working man and a cherished friend to many. George's story began in Daylesford, where he was born into a family of 6 during the lean years following World War II. He learned early in life the values of hard work, perseverance, leaving school at just the age of 13 to begin his working life as a truckman at Cornish Hill Gold Mine. Later he found his way into the bush, working alongside his uncle, felling timber, a fitting role for a man who would spend his life grounded in the land and dedicated to his work. It was in 1954 at a country dance that George's life took a fateful turn. There he met Valerie, the love of his life. Smitten from the start, he pursued her with a determined heart until she said yes. Their love story, built on resilience, devotion, would span decades. At 18, George was called away to Puckapunyal for national service training, an experience he would later describe as life-changing. He often reflected on how the discipline shaped him into a well-mannered gentleman, along with many others who went through that journey. Returning to Daylesford, he and Valerie married in 1956. Their growing love soon blossomed into a growing family, with the arrival of their children, Helen, 1957, Beverly, 1958, Leslie in 1960. During this time, George and Valerie worked together, operating a slate quarry in the nearby state forest. Seeking opportunities, they made the bold move to King Island in the Bass Strait, where they spent the next 30 years. George's work ethic and versatility shone as he took many roles, from dump truck operator, dozer operator at the local tungsten mine, both in open-cut underground operations for 28 years. But George was never defined by just one job. He was a coach of the local footy team, a keen outdoorsman who enjoyed fishing, duck shooting, mutton birding, turkey hunting and competing in wood chopping events. He cut firewood to supply the small community, worked as a local garbo and dunny can man, and amid it all, he and Valerie welcomed their youngest daughter, Catherine, in 1970. Not one to shy away from new challenges, George bought a farm and transitioned into raising stud heifers, cattle, before moving into dairy farming in 1988. With their children grown, he and Valerie returned to Victoria, settling in Cobram East. There, they ran a beef holding farm while George worked at Puller's Orchard, first as a fruit picker and pruner, then orchard foreman, leading teams of workers. After years of tireless effort, George and Valerie embraced retirement in the early 1990s, settling in Barooga. Even in retirement, George found ways to give back. He became involved with the local bowls club and dedicated his time to maintaining the Barooga Cemetery, ensuring that others had a peaceful resting place. George and Valerie had a huge love of travelling Australia in their caravan, often towing it to places most of us will never see or go. George took this time to undertake one of his greatest passions, gem hunting. He could always be found with a large number of rare stones jammed in the back of his car and under the caravan bed. Upon returning home, he would craft some of the most amazing pieces of jewellery, which he would then gift to the vast number of family and friends he and Valerie had and made during their adventures across the country that he loved so much. George and Valerie also had great ties with the Shepparton Gem Club, often meeting other members all around Australia at various gem fields on the hunt for the thing that had such a big part of their lives. George was an adventurer and a jokester at heart, often at the expense of his children's blood pressure, like the time he decided to take up paragliding at the age of 83 while on a trip to see Catherine. "Why did you let him do that, Catherine?" everyone asked, to which she replied, "Let him, I couldn't stop him." George also had the long-running trick of poking his false teeth out at every new family member, regardless of age, often leading to tears and then laughter. He was always the first to build a cubby house and have a peg gun fight with his many grandchildren, crack a good joke at the most inappropriate time, and tell stories of his many adventures and the great mates he had met along the way. George's life was one of unwavering commitment to his family, his work, and his community. He was a man of strength, resilience, and generosity, leaving behind a legacy of love and hard work that will always live on. I had the privilege of knowing him. One of the greatest gifts George gave to his children was the knowledge and the skill to be strong and independent. He made sure they knew how to take care of themselves, teaching them everything from changing a leaky tap washer, sighting in a rifle, checking the engine oil level, and changing a tyre on a car. The dedication to preparing his children for life led to one particular memorable moment when he taught his daughters to drive. With patience and steady hand, he had guided them through the process, ensuring they had the confidence and capability to handle the road ahead, both literally and metaphorically. George may have been able to teach the girls how to sight in a rifle, but unfortunately for the local policeman or the police station fence, by the time Catherine, the youngest, came to sit her driving test, she was not allowed to attempt reversing out, as the repair bill to the police station fence was already too much. Another great memory was the yearly whitewashing that took place on King Island, with one year standing out more than others, when an unsuspecting local undertaker stuck his head out the window of the car and immediately received a paintbrush to the face as the Lockmans flew past. George, or Pa, also loved to teach his grandchildren how to mow the lawn on the ride-on and drive the tractor, all while he took a nap and listened to the cricket. It must be said that an extra few bricks had to be put on the mower's seat because a 5 to 7 year old was not heavy enough for the seat cutout switch to work. Though we say goodbye today, we carry forward the lessons he taught us: to work hard, to love deeply, and to always lend a helping hand. George may no longer walk beside us, but his spirit remains, woven into the fabric of the lives he touched. Rest in peace, George. You'll be dearly missed, but never forgotten. Love you, mate.
Thank you so much, Sam. So I'd now like to call upon James Fuller, George's son-in-law, to read a couple of messages on behalf of George's granddaughter Camilla Lockman Perrott, and more memories from Kayana and Isaiah, George's great-granddaughters.
From Catherine's daughter Melly, to the man who showed everyone to never really grow up and to play until the very end. The man who showed genuine love for every single member of his family, especially to his soulmate Val. We will miss you, your playful personality, all the stories you would tell us. We will miss your visits and your help to convince Nan and Mum that ice cream softens the food so we can fit more in. For the non-stop jumps on the trampoline, to the water slides, to the swings, to the jelly beans you snuck every single one of us, we forever will miss you on Earthside, but know we be guiding us all in spirit. We all know and still be whispering flirty little things to Nan too. Rest in peace, Pa, and miss you, Melly. From granddaughter Kayani. Today we gather to honour and celebrate the life of a man who so much to each of us. Pa was just a family member, but a guiding light, a source of wisdom, and a constant present in our lives. His laughing stories, teaching us new things, sneaking us jelly beans, or when he let us have ice cream because ice cream softens your tummy. He taught us the importance of family, kindness, and hard work, leaving a legacy and will live on in our hearts. Though we feel the pain of his absence, we take comfort in knowing that his love and teachings will continue to guide us. We will cherish the time we had with him, remember the lessons he shared and the warmth he brought to our lives. From Isaiah, granddaughter, to Pa, I know you're not here in real life. You will always be in spirit. Thanks for teaching us how to cut and polish the rocks. Being patient. Being patient. And even though it took me a bit to get right.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you finish it, please? I'll just start it again. From Isaiah. I know you're not here in real life, but you will always be in spirit. Thank you for teaching me how to cut and polish the rocks and being patient even though it took me a bit to get it right. Thanks for coming down yearly to see us. I will miss that. I will miss playing on the playground at the caravan park with you, eating your jelly beans with you, and going down the homemade slip and slide with you. I will miss doing things like this with you. Thanks for being there for me. I really appreciate it. I will miss you so, so much, and I won't go a day without thinking about you. I love you, Pa, and I miss you.
Thank you, James. It's a very difficult task. We appreciate all those thoughts from the grandchildren. So I'd now like to call upon Ken Ray, who is George's brother-in-law, to share some more stories, please, Ken.
I look around at all you people here, and I can understand the high esteem that you held George in. When Val asked me if I could say a few words, I said I would be honoured. It's not often in life that you actually get to say thank you to someone, but to George, he was such a fine bloke. Everyone is going to miss him so much. Now I realise when Val asked me this, it was going to give me a chance to get even on him. Just joking. If anyone thinks this is going to be a sad talk, it's not, as George would not like it at all. This is a celebration of a wonderful life. I first met George over 50 years ago when I became a brother-in-law of Val and George. And over the years, we've each shared a lot of time in one another's homes. I first met George over 50 years ago when I became a brother-in-law. And I don't know all the things that he told me were true. But anyway, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. His early life was not an easy one for him and his siblings. It's hard to believe he actually became an altar boy at the local Dalesford Catholic Church. I might mention, up until the occasion arose that they actually got to sample the wine. Big no-no, George. His days as an altar boy came to a very abrupt end. He spent his time as a youth working in the local mines and later in the local quarry at Dalesford. And just not so long back he was telling me about, because he was only a little fella, they had to fill the carts in the mine, and they had the ponies that used to pull the carts out to get with the material to get crushed and whatever. And because he was little, you know, in a lot of the mines there was just little spaces, you know, and he got, in you go boy, and that was his job. In later years, as Sam said, he worked and operated a quarry mine with Val on the outskirts of Dalesford at a place called Basalt. And on numerous occasions he was saying, you know, how good Val was. They used to have the drill, and that was Val's job, to turn the drill as he, using or swinging a 14-pound sledgehammer, hit the drill on the head. Val was very, very trusting. He also cut fence posts in the early years of his marriage to Val, and was always a hard worker in building a better life for his much-loved wife and family. George and Val had the opportunity to go to King Island together with the family and work in the Scheelite mine where he was for many, many years. Now my wife Dot, the youngest of the family, and I, myself, innocent me, cooked up a scheme to get Val's mother over to King Island for a visit. This might seem easy in today's world, but this involved quite a lot of secrecy and planning, as Val's mother had never been to King Island, let alone fly in an aeroplane. She hadn't a clue where we were taking it. She had an idea it was off the coast of Australia somewhere. We thought we were pretty smart when we left Florrie, as she was known to everyone, in the transit lounge after we'd landed, and went out to Val, who was waiting in the car to take us back to Grassy. We sat for a little while, having a bit of a yak, and we had told her mum to come out after a moment or two. Well, all went well until she walked up to the car and tapped on the driver's side window. Val was facing me, I was in the front passenger seat, and on hearing her knocking, turned around to see who the hell it was tapping, or had the audacity to tap on the window. Well, all hell broke loose. Here was her mum looking pretty smug and pleased with herself, and Val breaking down into a blubbering mess, and I can still remember her saying, "Oh, Mum!" But wonderful memory. Val had never in her wildest dreams imagined her mum on King Island. We thought we were pretty smart to have, arranged all this. Well, things soon settled down, and off we went to Grassy, where Val and George lived. And when we arrived, George was asleep in bed. And this is around about the time I got a lesson in how not to treat your darling wife's mother. George had barely awakened, and seeing his rather smug mother-in-law standing at the foot of the bed, got her confused with her youngest daughter. Still half asleep, he blurted out in total shock, "Geez, you look old." Smug look gone. He thought Florrie was Dot. Welcome to the family, Ken. Now, I don't have to tell you all what a great person George was. None of you would be here if you didn't think thus of him. As the family grew, two families, ours and Val and George's, we spent a fair bit of time on King Island, and it would be remiss of me not to tell you of an occasion where my wife-to-be went on a holiday visit accompanied by a girlfriend. Of course, thanks to George, a fair bit of mischief took place. One time they tried to drag him out of bed. Unknown to them, he had no PJs on. No way was George letting these young ladies see his family jewels. Val was outside and could hear all this commotion when all of a sudden there was total silence. The matrimonial bed of many years' exciting workouts had broken. Exit, two very, very frightened girls. Around this time, George was involved with the Grassy Football Club, and the girls decided they would sew up the leg of his football shorts as a joke. This mischief was all aided by Dot Kane, a nearby neighbour. Now close your eyes and envisage this. George had just come from work, right? Rushes down to the club rooms, probably running late as usual, stripped off and goes to jump into his shorts. Not happy, George. He promised revenge on a horrible scale that these two young teens could not imagine. Over the years, we have spent a lot of time in each other's homes where we're always made welcome by this amazing couple. And I'm sure there are many of you who have also enjoyed their hospitality. It was given so unstintingly, and all of George's mates here, I take my hat off to you. Not many people have the ability to attract mates and keep them for such a long time as what George had. He had friends. I could have brought the book today, but it was too damn big. It listed everyone's name in it. I'm joking. He was always a gentleman. His friends a list of friends a mile long from all walks of life. On his many travels around Australia, he just had the ability to say, "How you going, mate?" And they'd get having a bit of a chat. And in no time at all, they became visitors. George will be sadly missed by all who knew him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. Lots of devilish stories there, and I'm sure you'll be able to share a lot more later at the wake. I'd now like to invite Joshua Gelder to read a message from one of George's closest friends, who was Ray Nye. So please, Joshua, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name is Ray Nye, and it's my honour today to say a few words for my dear friend George, and in particular speak about his involvement at Barooga Cemetery as part of the Barooga Cemetery Trust Committee. I've known George since his arrival in Barooga in 1990, some 35 years ago. I first got to know him following a committee meeting to gain support to improve and beautify the cemetery. George put up his hands to go on the committee and work towards its beautification. The main project George assisted with were the removal of the old boundary fence, planting of the new boundary hedge on our hands and knees, which is a feature today of the cemetery, the establishment of the rose garden near the crypt, the erection of the rotunda with its memorial garden. But George's main contribution and improvements to the establishment of the irrigation system to service all areas requiring water. He loved the plumbing part of his role, and I must say it's still there today and still working effectively. I feel it is fair to say George has a strong personality and is strong-willed and a very determined man. He had a unique ability to sum up people. He was a great judgment of character. One story I recall displaying George's judgment was when the Cemetery Trust met with the local council and contracted consultants to produce a master plan of the beautification of the cemetery going forward. After 2 meetings, the plan were completed and presented. This was around 4 to 5 years ago. Following the presentation, whilst leaving the meeting, George said this will go nowhere, and 5 years on, he was right. As I said, he was a very determined character. He and I would practice bowls together, often going into dark, neither giving up and most of the time not even knowing the score. I was going to say how competitive he was, but I suppose I was the exact same. The other aspect of George's personality which came to the fore was his sense of humour. He was always ready to crack a joke or make fun of some situation, putting a humorous slant on it. George loved his shed, spending hours polishing stones, in particular his opals. I would go to see him and end up staying a couple of hours whilst Val served a cup of coffee and biscuits. It was my pleasure to meet and know George, his lovely wife Val, talk to his beautiful children and hear about his grandchildren and great-grandchild. As I say goodbye to my great friend George, I reflect on his enormous legacy he leaves behind. He'll be remembered for so much that he did, and without a doubt he'll be sorely missed by all who knew him. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you to Ray. I think I saw him in the crowd here earlier, so that was lovely to reflect on the great time spent together. So I'd now like to invite George's granddaughter Evie Barrett to read a poem called Gone But Not Forgotten.
Gone but not forgotten. We sat beside your bedside, our hearts were crushed and sore. We did our best to the end till we could do no more. In tears we watched you sinking, we watched you fade away, and though our hearts were breaking, we knew you could not stay. You left behind some aching hearts that loved you most sincere. We shall never ever forget you, Pa and Father dear.
Thank you, Evie. It's a lovely poem. So we're now going to pause for a moment and reflect on George's life and what he meant to us personally while we listen to one of his favourite songs, Lucky Old Sun by Frankie Lang.
Up in the morning, out on the job, work like the devil for my pay. But that lucky old sun got nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. Show me that river, take me across, wash all my troubles away. Like that lucky old sun, give me nothing to do but roll around heaven all day.
Right from the dawning through till the evening, nothing but slaving, and all the time I pray.
Weary, so weary,
out in the morning, out on the job,
work like the devil for my pay. But that lucky old sun got nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. Fuss with my woman, toil for my kids, sweat till I'm wrinkled and gray.
while that lucky old sun has nothing to do but roll around heaven all day.
Good Lord above, can't you know?
That's an oldie, isn't it? And a good one. So George has lived the cycle of his life, leaving his loved ones with the sadness to contend with and their happy memories to look back upon. This inevitable day has come, but in many ways at the right time for George, as the last years of his life has been a battle with his health, and he has endured much pain. But George can now rest in eternal peace. So the last chapter of George's life is now complete, and I'm sure he would like to thank you for being part of his life. We say farewell to George, but not goodbye, as he will never be gone from us and our lives. The essence of who he is and his love will always be with you. So let us fill our hearts with gratitude for the experiences that we have shared with George. Let his journey remind us to embrace life's challenges, to be kind and compassionate, and to live each day just as George did. So we give thanks for George's laughter, his tears, and the moments that have shaped us. May these bring us joy, comfort, and inspiration. George, your life was a blessing, your memory a treasure. You are loved beyond words, and you will be missed beyond measure. So with love, we leave George in peace. With respect, we bid him farewell. George, may you rest in peace. So let us leave here at peace with ourselves and at peace with each other and your memories of George. So on behalf of George's family, I would like to thank you for coming here today and sharing in this celebration of his life. The family would especially like to thank the staff at the Cobram and the Shepparton hospitals and all the palliative care teams for their love, support and their kind care of George. Following this service, George will have a burial at the Barooga Lawn Cemetery, and there is shade and seating provided there for you. Following the burial, the Lockman family invite you to join them all at the Barooga Bowling Club in Snell Road to share refreshments and more of those great stories of George. So in George's honour, we have a basket of polished stones just over here on the corner of the path that George would like you to receive as a token of his love to you. So please feel free to take one. So thank you very much. So if the coffin bearers would like to come forward, please.
There's a message on my phone. It's my mother saying, darling, please come home. I fear the worst, but how could you leave us all behind? There's so much to say, but there's so little time. So how do I say goodbye to someone who's been with me for my whole damn life? You gave me my name and the color of your eyes. See your face when I look at mine. So how do I say goodbye when I couldn't? You always saw the best in me. Right or wrong, you were always on my side. But I'm scared of what life without you's like. And I saw the way she looked into your eyes. And I promise if you go, I will make sure she's alright. So how do I say goodbye to someone who's been with me for my whole damn life? You gave me my name and the color of your eyes. See your face when I look at mine. So how do I say goodbye? And there's no way you could ever let me down. Gonna steal some time and start again. You'll always be my closest friend. And someday we're gonna make it out. Just hold the light. Just hold the light high, high. So how do I say goodbye
the sun and which way the wind blows when this day is done. Breathe in the air, set your intentions, dream with care. Tomorrow's a new day for everyone, a brand new moon and brand new sun. Follow the sun, the direction of the birds, the direction of love. Breathe in the air, cherish this moment, cherish this breath. Tomorrow's a new day for everyone, a brand new moon, a brand new sun. When you feel life coming down on you like a heavy weight, when you feel this crazy society adding to the strain, take a stroll to the nearest water's edge. Remember your place.
At this final time of goodbye to George, we gather here to celebrate a difficult task, to pay our last respects to a dear gentleman that we all loved. Let us remind ourselves that the dead reside not in the grave, but in the hearts and the minds of the living. May every good deed that George has fulfilled in his life never be forgotten now that he has gone. May we never forget what he means to us individually, and may we aspire to live our lives with compassion and kindness to all those near to us, just as George did. His passing has brought sorrow to his family and friends, particularly as the ties of love and friendship were so strong. George leaves behind a wonderful family, and I know that they will support each other in the coming months. But while we think of George's passing with sadness and regret, we should recall his life with respect and happiness. You see, nothing can distract from the happiness and the closeness that you shared with George. Nothing can affect the happiness and the joy of life that George knew. Nothing can affect your love of him and his love for you. Family and friends can never be altered by time, circumstance, or even death. The past, with all its meaning, is sacred and secure. So I'd like to invite George's granddaughter, Ricky Barrett, to come forward and read a poem, Miss Me, But Let Me Go.
Miss me, but let me go. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey that we must all take, and each must take it alone. It's all part of the Master's plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick of heart, go to the friends we know and bury your sorrows in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go.
Thanks, Ricky, and I'm sure that's just what George would be telling you all. So I'd now like to call upon Barry Clark, who is the RSL representative, who will read the ode and George's service record. Thank you, Barry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm President of the Cobram Barooga RSL sub-branch. On behalf of the Returned and Services League and the Cobram Barooga sub-branch, its committee and members, we extend our condolences to Val and family of George. We assemble here to pay tribute to one who served with us in defence of our freedom. His ex-service colleagues know how well he served. His family and friends will remember his service to the RSL and other community organisations. I'll now read George's statement of service. Full name, George William Lockman. Service number 3755947. Category of service, Royal Australian Army National Service. Date of enlistment, 16th of August 1955. Date of discharge, 30th of June 1960. Rank on discharge, private. Postings, 15 National Service Training Battalion, 16th of August 1995. 8th 7th Infantry Battalion, 23rd of November 1955. Honours and Awards, Australian Defence Medal, Anniversary of National Service 1951 to 1972 Medal. We remember the fine qualities of George, now lost to us, and we recall the RSL traditions of service to the veterans, their dependents, the needy and the bereaved. If you are able, can you please stand while we recite the Ode of Remembrance. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget. Please be seated. The red poppy is a symbol of sacrifice, and in remembrance of George, I place this poppy in abiding memory. I now invite the immediate family, ex-servicemen and women and RSL members who wish to demonstrate their love and devotion of George to also place a poppy. It's always a problem with the uneven ground. Right. Thank you, everyone. If you're able, could you please stand for the last post? Any more? Oh, a couple more? Come up. The last post is played to indicate that George has completed his life's work and has entered into rest. Rouse is played to symbolise the awakening of the soul into a new life. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Thank you very much, Barry, and the RSL branch. I'd like to read a poem that the family have selected. It's called I'm Only a Whisper Away. Come dry your tears, smile again, love. I'm only a whisper away. Near in the dusk of the evening, just out of sight for the day. Watch you walking and sleeping, hearing each prayer you pray. Sending my love to surround you. I'm only a whisper away. Come dry your tears and smile again. Remember the good times we've known. Cherish the joy we discovered and the love that was planted and grown. Your road may seem lonely ahead and the distant horizons look grey, but you won't be walking alone. I'm only a whisper away. So we now gently and reverently commit the body of our much-loved George William Lockman to the elements of nature, from which all life comes and from which all life in the end returns, where he will rest in peace. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, into the darkness and warmth of the earth, into the sadness and smiles of our memories, into the cycle of living and dying, George, may you rest in peace. Let us leave here at peace with ourselves and at peace with each other and our memories of George. So please come forward and place a gum leaf on the coffin in honour of George, and then continue on to the bowling club for refreshments with the family. Thank you, everyone.